Today I'm here with Jon Howell, News Editor of Networking Plus. Jon, thank you so much for joining us. My first question is, which companies and technologies do you see as the hottest for 2011 and why?
It's really difficult to say what's going to be hot. The big things I've noticed over the last few years is, for example, the IP show over the years has bit by bit added small subsections like it's had a VM section or a cloud section and a wireless section. This year it seemed to have almost about 5 or 6 little subsections. I don't see anything new to add to that list. It seems to me now that there's actually room in the market for people to actually kind of really capitalise on some of these technologies. So for example, I still think a lot of people aren't using virtualization as much as they could. Cloud is still very much a buzzword. I've spoken to vendors who have said they actually avoid using the word cloud, it only confuses their customers. So we've got a long way to go with things like that. So I don't think it's going to be major technologies coming through. There will be things, I think, like tablets. You know, your iPads, and now Cisco and everybody else is bringing out similar types of devices. Yes, I think there's a lot of traction there. Businesses will suddenly look at that and think, that's another way of getting at the cloud and dealing with applications. So there'll be a level of that, but I don't think there's anything going to be massive. It's just traction on what we've already got out there, hopefully, getting some worldwide acceptance and moving on.
That's very interesting, thank you. What have been the biggest PR gaffes that you've witnessed?
Now, I actually have a folder in my Outlook that's full of lots of lovely little examples. This was all kicked off because Solwise picked up the account for the iPlate. You know, that little socket you can put into the wall from BT that said you'll get an extra at least 0.5 megabits a second on your broadband if you install it. They sent a press release that actually said, I will actually quote this because it's a great headline, Solwise is finally stocking the iPlate for ADSL users but are actively encouraging customers not to buy it. The press release actually explained what it did, then said it was not worth having, and even explained how you could do a home DIY solution that would be just as good. And that was their way of introducing themselves to the account. No, we didn't run with that story. Some of the other classics, of course, are the people who use mail merge, and you end up with dear, insert name here, or better, some people who send ones that are, it was great to see you yesterday at the event, when you had to cancel and you weren't even at the event. I've had some of those as well. So those are some of the classics we get.
Really embarrassing. What have been the major changes in the way that PR agencies, journalists and vendors work together in 2010?
I suppose the biggest thing that's appeared on the horizon, I guess, is Twitter. Although, in many ways, I wouldn't say that's been as revolutionary as some people are saying. It's definitely a medium for everybody who wants to shout. Not sure very many people are listening on Twitter because there's so many people shouting. It's hard to pick out the quality information from the noise. And a lot of the time, your Twitter list of followers that you want to share your press release or whatever, well, that's just a mailing list. And now you're trapped to just a tiny URL and less than 140 characters, as opposed to the press release and the picture you could have sent me instead. So I'm not sure Twitter's massive, although I have seen it used an awful lot more. I can't say that over the last few years I've seen many changes. I can say we'd like to see some changes. One of the things we have noticed, and I think it has been happening a bit more recently, is we've had PR agencies that appear to be full of people. Every time you ask them a question, the first thing I say is, oh, I don't know, I'll phone up the company. Right, now hang on. If I had the contact of the company, I could have done that myself. What value are you bringing to the process? And we seem to have had a bit more of that recently. That's not a good trend, I'm afraid. If anything, over time, we do seem to be more and more frustrated with the lack of, I suppose it's awareness of what we do and what we need. You don't necessarily need to know it inside out, but sometimes you're sent completely random press releases that have got nothing to do, and anybody that even had a cursory amount of knowledge about the mag really shouldn't have got in touch if they had something that wasn't useful for us.
Thank you. How do you see that relationship evolving in the next 12 months?
Well, again, I'm very much hoping that we have, I mean, that's difficult. difficult to explain. There are very good ways of people being targeted. We've got more information than ever before out there. Whether Twitter can be used particularly, I don't know. Certainly what would be nice if, I think it is a case of the PR firms needing to know their clients better, and I don't know whether it's a case of, it's a difficult one to answer actually. I'm crashing on this one a little bit.
That's all right, don't worry. Do press releases have any place in the media landscape of the future, and why?
Yes, in some form or other, absolutely. Now, I had to think about this. Now, because I know there is a point where a lot of people wonder where all the advertising money goes. It will get spent on PR firms, and isn't that bad? But the way that the media is now set up, there's a definite case of, well, you've got thousands of companies here, dozens of publications. Now, the cross connections between those is massive. Even if every firm could afford their own little private PR, there's no way we could deal with all the telephone calls back and forth. So a layer of PR in the middle makes absolute sense. Now, the thing with that, though, is you've got to make sure that you are bringing value and that you can distill the information from your clients in order to give at least the obvious basic information you might need. The point being that a good press release can, certainly from our point of view, possibly fuel an entire news story, certainly a nib, certainly if we were going to put something online very quickly, and that's all you need. A good press release should be able to provide all that for you. Now, obviously, it's not going to supply everything everybody needs. From our point of view, we'll often find that because we're a networking magazine, there are specific networking facts we have to chase later. But again, I should be able to phone that PR firm and say, what about this? And either they'll know off the top of their head or they'll know the right person to get in contact with. So it's a case of the way the media is now, we have no choice but to rely on press releases. We need them because there's a level of journalism that we can't afford to do on a daily basis. I couldn't afford to phone up, let's say a dozen companies and chase a story from first principles all the way through. A press release is exactly the way to start, especially when it comes down to trying to vet what stories should I put in the news section in the first place.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, which technology spokesperson do you have a secret crush on?
Oh, that's cheeky, and you know it is. Well, I can't tell you, or it wouldn't be a secret anymore, would it now? I will say something general, though, that largely speaking, when I came into this industry, there was this feeling that the journalists were a bit kind of standoffish and kind of like, oh no, PRs, they're beneath me. But largely speaking, I've found the PR world full of lots of lovely ladies who are great to get on with. And as long as you don't come over with this kind of holier-than-thou attitude, there's no reason PRs and journalists can't just get along perfectly well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.